believe that quiet moments often carry the loudest consequences. Then like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay with me until the end. Because this is not just a story about regret. It's a story about how easily one moment can redraw the boundaries of our lives. They say regret doesn't arrive when the mistake is made. It doesn't knock loudly. It doesn't announce itself. Regret comes later. It comes when the world has gone quiet. When the lights are off. When there is nothing left to distract you from your own thoughts. It settles into the corners of your mind like dust you didn't notice accumulating, until suddenly, it's everywhere. For me, regret didn't begin with something dramatic. There was no shouting, no argument, no obvious line crossed. It began with something small. So small, in fact, that if you asked me then, I would have sworn it meant nothing at all. That Tuesday looked like every other Tuesday. Ordinary. Predictable. Harmless. The kind of day you forget as soon as it passes. My husband, Michael, had left early that morning for a business trip. He kissed my forehead at the door, promised to call later, and disappeared into the routine of airports and meetings. When the door closed behind him, the house changed. It always did. Not in a dramatic way, but in a hollow one. An emptiness settled in, the kind that doesn't hurt but reminds you that something is missing. I stayed late at work that evening. By the time I pulled into the driveway, exhaustion had already wrapped itself around me. My thoughts felt tangled, heavy, sluggish. All I wanted was silence. Warm food. A shower. Sleep. But the moment I stepped inside the house, something felt off. At first, I couldn't place it. Then I heard it. A faint sound drifting down from upstairs. Water. Not rushing. Not loud. Just a quiet, steady trickle. My heart skipped. Liam. My stepson. He must have come home early from university. Liam was not someone who made noise without purpose. He moved through the house like a shadow, polite, quiet, almost apologetic in the way he existed. After his mother passed away, silence had become his armor. He wore it well that I climbed the stairs slowly, my hand resting against the banister. As I reached the landing, I saw it. The bathroom door was slightly open. Steam curled out into the hallway, thin and ghost-like, catching the dim light above. That alone unsettled me. Liam was careful. Private. Deliberate. An open door was unlike him. Then the water stopped. The silence that followed felt too sharp. And that's when I heard it. A sound so fragile it barely registered as real. A broken sob. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just the quiet sound of someone coming apart while trying desperately not to be heard. I froze. My breath caught in my chest. Liam. I whispered. No answer. Every instinct told me to stop, to give him privacy, to walk away, to pretend I hadn't heard anything. But concern can be louder than judgment. I knocked once. Then, gently, I pushed the door open. He was sitting on the bathroom floor. Fully dressed. His back pressed against the cold tile wall. Knees drawn up. Arms wrapped tightly around himself as if he were trying to hold something inside. His shoulders trembled. Not violently, just enough to reveal how hard he was fighting. His eyes were red. His hands shook when he tried to wipe his face. I'm fine, he said quickly. But his voice betrayed him. It cracked in the middle, thin and uneven. I didn't move closer. I didn't touch him. I lowered myself to the floor a few feet away, careful, slow, like approaching something already breaking. Silence stretched between us. Not uncomfortable. Just heavy. You don't have to be fine, I said softly. What's going on, Liam? He stared at the floor. For a long time, I thought he wouldn't answer. Then barely above a whisper he spoke. I don't know what's wrong with me anymore. His words hit harder than I expected. I can't sleep. I can't think. It feels like I'm slipping away from myself. Fear threaded through his voice. Not teenage frustration. Not anger. But something deeper. Something older. Since his mother's death, grief had lived quietly in this house. Never acknowledged directly. Never spoken aloud. But always present. Always shaping the space between us that I wanted to reach out. The urge was instinctive. Human. To offer comfort. To steady him. To make the pain stop. But my hand hesitated in midair. Suspended between what felt right and what felt dangerous. Because there is a difference between care and closeness, between support and dependence. And I suddenly realized how thin that line could be. You're not broken, I said finally, my voice barely more than breath. You're human. And you've been carrying too much for too long. His eyes lifted to meet mine. They shone with unshed tears. Do you really think it gets better? He asked. The question wasn't for reassurance. It was a plea. I answered. And I think part of you already knows that. When I left the bathroom, the air felt heavier, as if something invisible had shifted. Sleep didn't come easily that night. The house felt different, quieter, weighted with memory. I lay awake replaying the image of his face, the way his eyes searched mine, as if hoping I held answers I wasn't sure I was allowed to give. I realized then that I had stepped into something delicate, something I didn't fully understand. Not just the space between right and wrong, but the space between being there and being too much.